Yo, Food Service Power Plant Network and the K-12 Power Plant Network. Regardless of where you're watching from, welcome to tonight's weekly conversation where we find an industry leader, someone whose voice carries weight, someone who's seen a lot of things and been a part of a lot of cool things in our industry, who gets to lead and give us new perspectives from their role in whatever organization they're leading from, and also gives us insight into their lives, and which is kind of the funnest part of the whole thing. Tonight, we've got Keith Kelly from TundraFMP. He's the president. He was at Ice-O-Matic. He's done a lot of cool stuff in his career, and we're going to get to know him better, which is, the fun part. A couple of insights for you. If you are joining us, first of all, you are welcome to make comments. You're welcome to ask questions. If you do, we'll simply pull them up just like this. This is a duck. This is the fake comment question, but we'll pull them up, and you are welcome to ask Keith any question you have. He'll take it. You're welcome to ask me any question you have. I'll take it, and we want to be here to answer all those. You can also, if you want to, you can go to StreamYard/Facebook, and that way when you make a comment, your name will pop up, and we'll know who you are. Otherwise, I'll be watching my phone to see if I can figure out who's commenting, and oftentimes it's a lot of Keith's coworkers or employees or friends or family or whatever, or just friends in the Power Plant Network who are watching. And we're grateful that you're on. I hope Monday crushed it for you. The other thing I will tell you is if you have it nearby, I would grab a notepad and I would grab a pen. Inevitably, in all of these conversations, the person that we're sharing a conversation with has bits of their story, life experiences, risks they've taken, things they've learned, which will be relevant to you and your story. There's themes, there's commonalities in every story, every movie that happens, every real life story. We all share the same themes. We might not all respond the same way or react or have the same, shoes that we've walked in, but there's messages and key story that you'll need that you can apply to your life immediately. And so grab a notepad and pen, because it'd be just a good thing for you to do to learn what he's got to share. Okay, I'm going in the group right now, just so that we can see who's on. David Maxwell's in the house. Yo, David, boom. I'll bet you sold a school district somewhere in North Carolina today. Welcome, brother. And let's go find the man, the myth. Keith! Okay, Keith, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
How about now? Okay.
How's that?
You're currently the president.
I can.
Love it, love it, love it. So you are the president of TundraFMP. And which is a cool role. We're going to talk about that tonight. Can you tell us your career journey to get to the role that you're currently in?
I started my journey after grad school back in the day. I answered an ad in the New York Times and went to work for an export management company in New York that a lot of people know, called Dorian International. And my first job was selling food service equipment as a rep in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. And that's how I got into food service.
Wow.
We sold a lot of other products in addition to food service. Sold sanitary ware, commonly known as toilets and faucets. Sold musical equipment, sold automotive aftermarket, sold all sorts of things all over the world. But my territory was the Middle East and Southeast Asia. And that's how I got started. It was a fun start. I got to learn a ton. I had traveled over the world already as a kid. I lived overseas and traveled overseas. And so getting onto the international side of our business was a natural extension to what my life had been up until that point. And then it kind of blossomed from there. I've been in and out of the industry a couple of times. I ran international at Metro. I ascended the ranks at Ice-O-Matic a couple of different times, ending up as president. But just, I've left food service a couple of times, but I keep getting pulled back. It's just one of those things. It's a hard industry to leave.
What is it about it that you think pulls people back? Why do people, even if they get out and there's something fun or exciting outside, why do we all end up back here?
I think it's a couple of things, Jason. I think one, it's the people. It's just an industry that is real. It's got real people. As you and I were talking earlier, very few people go to school, go to college, go get a master's degree, and then go sell fryers, right? Or go to manufacture refrigerators. It's not that you just, and then once you're in, it's a business that you can connect with. It's food, and everybody eats every day. Everybody's got opinions on food. Everybody likes different types of food. Everybody understands the whole size of the industry and the scope of the industry. But once you're in it and you find your niche, whether that's a rep or a manufacturer or being in the channel or being on the food side, it sucks you, and it's hard to leave because of those reasons. When you're friends and you say what you do, they get it, right? If you're manufacturing some esoteric switch for a telephone system or whatever you happen to do, and you're trading commodities, people don't get it as what they, because they can't connect with it. But when you're in food service, no matter who you're talking to, they can connect with it.
Yeah, I agree. It is relatable, and maybe that's why so many people stumble in, because it's something they can experience, relate to, and usually food elicits positive emotion in
I
people.
think so.
We all love to eat.
It does. It's a very emotive job and industry as well. And some people are second and third generation, like yourself. You grew up in food service, and so it was a natural extension for you. And there are a lot of people in our industry like that, but there are a lot of people that aren't either. As I think that makes for a great blend. And I've left the industry a couple of times. A couple of entrepreneurial ventures on my own, and each one of them that came back to foods was outside service, and I think that's been healthy for me.
Heck yeah. I love that you get out, you get a different perspective, and then you're able to come back in and bring it with you. Did you, well, let's see, you got in the industry kind of as a rep selling a lot of things. Did you have a goal? Did you know when you were younger that you wanted to lead companies? You were the president of Ice-O-Matic, you're the president of TundraFMP. Was that something that you knew that, like, you know what, this is a goal that I have?
Being a leader of wasn't a specific goal when I was growing up and going to college and even my first job. But being in leadership positions was something that I've been in since I was very young, whether that was the captain of the basketball team, where I was certainly not the best player. Those that know me back in the day, certainly not the tallest player, that's for sure. And then as I went through my career in various opportunities, I always gravitated and was put in or selected to be in leadership positions. And so I think it's something that I just grew into. It was somewhat early on, and just grew into over time. And then once you realize that and you acknowledge it with yourself, then you start to embrace it. And then you start to learn how to become better. At first and then it's learned, and it's experience that moves you along the path.
Heck yeah. One of the questions that we had, so Taz in our group asked a question about leadership in challenge. And obviously, the last year and a half have been unique for all of us. They've been different, whether people have thrived or they've struggled. We've all experienced something that's unique, that's different, that we didn't see coming. What was something that you were focusing on as a leader, and what would you tell your kids or the younger leaders at TundraFMP that matters most for leaders to exhibit in times of challenge?
Great. That's a great question. For me, I've got 4 leadership principles that I run my life by. They kind of are my guiding light as well as professionally, because I don't think you can separate the two. Those are communication, respect, accountability, and those are things that I think are good things for a leader to have, but also help you manage in the difficult times. Respect, treating people with respect, treating customers with respect, treating yourself with respect, accountability. I'm huge on accountability. It starts with yourself. You can't hold others accountable until you hold yourself accountable. Communication, good and but being an effective communicator. And what you're doing, you need to be aligned with your own principles, aligned with the company principles, aligned with your your spouse's goal and direction, whatever it happens to be in alignment and hold yourself accountable to be in alignment with those around you, I think are all huge factors to success, and really show up in downtimes, right? It's much easier to lead from out front when things are great. But when things are challenging the way they have been in the last 18 months, especially, those have principles, things you find mean a lot. And if you look at famous leaders in the world, most of them follow those 4 principles.
Did you learn those somewhere, or is that something just along the way you sort of said, you know what, I'm just recognizing that these things matter?
I think it's trial and error, right? And you certainly learn from your failures and you learn from your successes. And those that know me know that first and foremost, I'm a bullet point guy. Tell me the summary before you give me all of the details. And so I've tried to distill it down to 4 guiding principles. I think it just came over time, experience. I didn't read a book. No one told me. It just sort of evolved.
I love it. Are there, for you, Keith, as you, are there any habits, disciplines in your life that you have found really help keep you on course or keep you centered? And you're like, you know what, these things really matter for me as I keep growing and evolving as a person?
Maybe one of the reasons I'm in food service is the very, very first habit that I learned, and I've embraced ever since. And that's I always have breakfast.
Huh.
My mom said breakfast was the most important meal of the day. I embraced it. I live it. I can do all without the other meals. I can, but I have breakfast. And I wake up. One of my first thoughts when I wake up is, what am I going to have for breakfast?
In terms of business habits, you were saying?
As business, Jason. Yeah, I tend to be a early riser. So I've been in a global leadership position for a long time. So there are 2 things that I do. I tend to rise early, so that it started out with catching folks in Europe for their business day, and then I tend to. The other thing I do is I check emails before I go to bed. A lot of people say don't do that, but for me, it was part of my success is being able to do that and catch people in Asia for the end of our workday. And so I start early, and then I may take a long break somewhere, but then I finish late, and that has helped me over the years to connect with a lot of different people and a lot of different styles. Even in this country, some people will not start work till 9 or 10, but they'll work till 9 or 10, vice versa, right? So it's allowed me to, and that's where technology has just been, right? You can stay connected all the time, and even more during this pandemic when people are working from home. The workday seems to have elongated, if you let it.
Yeah, for sure. Are there another thing that Tundra FMP? Well, I do Tundra in particular, just because I called on Tundra for the last 13 years of my life, and now I'm sure FMP culture has been huge. There's back when people used to come to the office, there were dogs, and there's a dog calendar that we would get. My kids have them in their rooms that I would get from Tundra.
Right.
And how, with people not coming to the office as much, how do you maintain culture with teams who aren't coming to the same place? They're not coming into the building every day. How do you keep that going?
It's hard. It's really hard, and it takes a concerted effort. And you're right about the dogs. When I started at Tundra, one of the things that attracted me the most was I walked in and there were 25 dogs. And I got to know some of the dogs before I got to know some of the people. That's just, if you're a dog lover, that's just what happens. Or, you're Ralphie's mom. That's just the way it works. And everything from Chihuahuas to Irish Wolfhounds. So it was great. And you know what? I miss the dogs. I do. I miss the people, but I miss the dogs also. And when we were establishing a return to work policy, one of the biggest things we had to think about was, okay, in this new work environment where everybody doesn't have assigned places, what do we do with the dogs? Where do we put the dogs? because we want them there. But maintaining and building that culture across an organization. Now TundraFMP has got people spread out in about 20 states and 6 distribution centers around the country, and various locations in New Jersey and Idaho and Chicago and Colorado. It's been really hard. So it takes a concerted effort. I'm a huge believer in video. If you're on the phone, you might as well be on another video, so you can pick up the visual cues, so you can connect with people, see the picture on the back of the wall. And in our culture, if a dog starts barking or a cat walks across the screen, we tend to stop and say, "Hey, who is that? What's the dog's name? What are they doing?" And no one gets upset when the dog goes crazy and when the doorbell rings and the UPS guy's there. But it takes a lot of work. So it starts with video, and make sure that everybody's on video as much as we possibly can. We've invested in some of our employees upgrading their bandwidth at their home so that they can be on video when they didn't have it. And the other thing is, now that we're somewhat back to normal, my leadership team and me are trying to connect with people physically as much as possible, taking people out to lunch, taking people out to dinner, showing up at their ball game, whatever it happens to be, even if it's just for 20 minutes, just making that personal contact. It's really difficult with people that are new to the business, that don't have the culture ingrained in them. So onboarding new people, we try and get them on video. We try and walk them through what their day is going to look like. It's really, really important.
I love it. I agree with you that physical connection, to see people, to give a fist bump, to shake a hand, to break some bread, it matters. It does. And you can't abandon that altogether.
It does matter.
Yeah. This is our buddy Joe Carcione, Broncos. Oh, you've thrown a little shade here, huh, Joe?
Joe, really?
Joe, I'm assuming your team is the Indianapolis Colts, if I were to guess. And records are reversed, 0-3. We're feeling for you. We're not gonna feel like too bad because we're riding pretty high out here in Denver, but we feel for you. Good to see you, brother. We're glad you're here, Joe. Oh, Bears.
Hopefully Joe will become a fan. Oh, Bears. Sorry, dude.
So good. Keith, we all, Joe, so good to see you, brother. We'll all have moments where we get down, where we get discouraged, when we say, I've got no idea what's next. You're a leader of a great organization, a big company. You're not immune to it. We all go through it. What are some of your go-tos in those moments where you're like, oh crap, or the energy's just low, or you're discouraged about a result or whatever? Do you have go-tos to kind of pick yourself back up or put yourself in the right state of mind?
I do. I would say 2 things. One is, I've got a close group of other leaders who I confide in and who I appreciate their feedback. And so there's a half a dozen people that I'll call and say, I'm just having a really tough day, or I'm having a scenario that I just don't know what to do. Because it can be lonely at the top. There aren't a lot of people to talk to, and we have this pact between us that we share confidentialities, and we keep them, and we help each other. I used to be in a Vistage group back in the day, and that was part of it, and I've continued it now that I'm not in Vistage. And I appreciate their feedback. They're not always right. They're not right. But just having someone who will listen to you and have some understanding of what you're going through. So I would say that's one. The other for me is I'm a Colorado guy. I've lived here mostly since 1989. I get outside, and I try and get outside alone, ride my bike, get on a dirt bike. I'll get up and play a round of golf at 6:30 in the morning by myself, just to have some alone time and separate from the business, just so I can process. Back in the day, it was the 16-hour plane rides or 14-hour plane rides where you would just have that alone time for yourself. None of us get alone time anymore. When was the last time you had 10 hours of uninterrupted time just to yourself and not sleeping? Right? You don't have it. So I will block my schedule and give myself 2 or 3 hours, and I'll do something that gives me time to think and process. And it's a really important part of who I am and my success. And then I come back from those things charged. I may be cranky because I shot a bad score, but I'm really charged because of the energy. And so, when you're in Colorado, getting outside, getting the vitamin D, doing some sport, some kind of activity, and for me, the way I process my alone time, just hypercritical.
That's a common theme, Keith, that we keep seeing in these conversations, getting outside, moving your body, whether it's golf or getting out. I remember Rob Connolly told us once, the current president of NAFM, he goes, yeah, my team has come to know that when I say I'm going for a run or a walk, they're like, oh man, what idea is he going to come back with next? Because, there's things churning and he gets rejuvenated and energy and, whatever that is. And so I love that you have that. Who's this? This is, I'm going to see newest comments if I can. I can't see who this is, but that's okay. By the way, Chris is on with Laura. Chris, Shannon is on. Joe's on. Kevin Fink is on. What's up, brother? Having a circle of fellow industry leaders to bounce things off of and use as a sounding board is awesome and critical. That's what our industry is all about. I would agree. It's the I've always got some people in my circle, just like Keith, who they become my confidants, people that we've survived some risks. When we were down in Florida together, we talked about surviving risks and those relationships that are built, the trust that's built. And I've got that circle as well. I think it is key for all of us to have that and to be able to trust in people, because none of us can carry the weight of, different needs or challenges or stress alone. We always need people to bounce it off of. And Keith's got a great example there. So for anyone younger watching who hasn't built that, take your notepad and write that one down. I mean, find people to build a relationship with that you can trust, be a confidant, that you can offer insight to, or you can trust, that people can trust you and you can go to people with.
On the way you'll make mistakes. Along you'll make some mistakes, and that's okay. You'll decide that person A is going to be one of your confidants, and then they let you down for whatever reason. They don't hold your confidence or whatever it happens to be. You make some mistakes, and that's okay. That's okay. But you have to learn when you can be vulnerable and when you can't. And with that group, and I would say 80% of them are in the industry, but having a couple outside the industry for perspective is also healthy.
I think you're totally right. Yeah,
and it has to be people that can say BS.
Heck yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're just brutally on. They're willing to be really honest with you and give you their authenticity and their genuine answers, whatever that is. And you're right. I mean, sometimes you trust someone and you realize that maybe you shouldn't have. And then you bob and you weave and you change some people out and some other people come in. And our family, actually, there was an old someone at Tundra years ago who told me, in our family, we talk about, we all have 3 teams. Team 1 is our immediate family. We've always got each other's back. We're always here forever. Team 2 is our extended family, aunts and uncles and cousins and all that. And those people that we've got, they're here, but we might trust them to different degrees and see more or see less. And Team 3 is our friendships and those relationships outside of family. And those relationships are coming and going. There's people that we bring in, and there's people that we move out, and it comes and it goes and it evolves. And the cool part about that one is you get to build that team. And you feel like you have a lot of choice in who you surround yourself with.
Agreed.
Is there, okay, here's a question from Tom Stritch. Zena's on, who's this? And it can be different during different chapters. David, you are correct. Love it, David. Okay, Tom Stritch's question. What is the difference, Keith, between managing suppliers and managing dealers?
Great question, Mr. Stritch. No offense to my manufacturing friends, but the biggest challenge is that most manufacturing programs that are given to the channel or given to dealers are hard to implement. It's just, as a manufacturer, I used to get crazy frustrated. Hey, we just gave you this killer 90-day program. Well, when you have a business that's as the size and as complex as Tundra is, It's a battleship. I can't move a battleship, a different direction in 90 days. It's just not possible. Especially with so many different channels into the marketplace. Maybe if someone is highly focused and only does one thing, it might be easier. But the larger organizations tend to be more complex. So that's the biggest thing. And the other is you're actually interfacing with the end user of the product. And that's a much, much different mindset and perspective than if you're a manufacturer or most manufacturers.
Sure.
They each have their own level of complexity and difficulty, but they're very, very different.
Is there one that you've been a rep? You started your career as a rep. You've been a manufacturer, and now you're a dealer. Is there a role that you had the most fun in, that you sort of enjoyed the most?
Ooh, that's a good one. I got to tell you, my first role where I was traveling around the world and selling toilets in Bahrain and fryers in Singapore and Ludwig drums in South Africa, that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. And for me, no matter what job I have, I'm a lifelong learner. So sometimes what you learn is what not to do. Other times it's, you learn what to do from the job, from the mentor, whoever it happens to be. And as difficult as it was, that job was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I learned how to sell. Everybody should have a job that's 100% commission at some time in their life, or an incredibly low salary, and the rest of your compensation, which is high, is based on exactly on your performance, no one else's. Those are lifelong learnings that stay with me ever since. Most of the jobs have been relatively fun, but you have to make them fun. It's just not natural. You have to make them fun.
Sure, I love it. Are there any things that you do to make things fun? Like maybe it's contests that you give yourself, or challenges you give yourself, or maybe it's playing golf with colleagues. Anything in particular that you do to instill fun?
So, again, being out in Colorado, skiing with customers and colleagues and playing golf, etc. It's fun. Try and inject a little bit of levity in almost everything. I tell everybody, listen, we're not solving world peace. We're not solving cancer. We're selling, refrigerators and pots and pans and menu covers and whatever it happens to be. So you might as well have a little bit of fun with it, enjoy it. We've got, since Mr. Beeman's on the line here, we have a little contest right now on this year's sales quota. David came out of the womb with a bald head, and he still has a bald head. If he doesn't make quota, he's going to grow his hair out for 90 days, and he's a Chiefs. He has to wear a jersey. And if he makes quota, I'm going to shave my head and wear a Mahomes jersey for 90 days. So, you got to be willing to do that as a leader. And it's fun.
Oh, that is so great. I love that you guys are doing that. And whenever the day of that moment comes, towards the end of the year, I'm assuming it will be, we got to get pictures. That will be outstanding.
I think we might even ask Mr. Jason Wange to MC the one or the other, the wearing of the jerseys or the shaving of the head. That would be fun.
I would love to MC that. That would be so outstanding. Here he is. I don't lose a bet.
Awesome. Jason, the other thing I did and started out very, very young in my career was, once I understood that traveling was going to be a big part of what I did for the rest of my career, I gave myself a goal of every time I went somewhere, even if it was the 20th time that I went there, I would try and do something that I'd never done before. And it could be, spend the weekend and go somewhere and do something. It could be as little as take a different route to get from point A to point B, but something that made it more interesting, something that made a difference, something that hopefully made it a little more fun. And I've tried to do that for my entire career, and it's led to some great experiences. It really has.
That's a great idea. I hadn't implemented that. I'm traveling a fair amount now in my role with Cowmill, and I love that. Intentionally find something that seems fun. I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to California tomorrow morning, so
Yeah.
I'm going to find something and report back to you on what I found.
Great. You've been to LA 40 times. Take a different route. Go somewhere different. Stay at a different hotel. Meet some, go do something. Get up at 6 and go for a run and go look at the sunrise. I mean, it's just something you haven't done before. It's huge.
This is awesome. Look at this. This is Kenny. Kenny Bizotsky. Yo, Kenny, what's up, brother? That is so awesome to hear. It's led me to 26 ballparks. Awesome, Kenny. That's
nice.
Great.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Jeff Yates is in the house. Jeff, I have no desire to get into political office. There's enough politics in food service, and I'll keep out of the national spotlight. But I'm glad you're here, Yates. You're the man. Okay. Was there you get some of that, you get some of that. Was there a challenge in your life? Anything that you went through at some point that you had to sort of fight through, lean into, persevere through, that taught you kind of what you were made of?
For sure. As I said before, I left the industry a couple of times, always for something that was entrepreneurial. It's a big driver of who I've been, always trying to try something new, something different. On one of the times that I did that, my business failed. Not through necessarily any fault of my own. It was in an industry that went through an 80% downturn in 6 months, and it wasn't just long enough. The business was too leveraged, and it wasn't long enough to reinvent ourselves. And so we had to close shop. So I failed in the business, and I took it hard. And it also cost me a significant amount of my financial investment. And it was very, very low. I was at a very, very low point. And, but it also took me back to my core. And you know what, Keith, you're better than this. You can sell your way out of this. You can work your way out of this. You can reinvent yourself if you couldn't do it for the business. And that's what I did. But it was one of the most challenging things I've ever gone through. Anybody who has never gone through a large personal or business or financial failure, it will shake you to your core. Mm-hmm. And then how you persevere and how you come out of that, it's 100% up to you. 100%.
Man, I love the attitude. I love the in the midst of being down, the things that you told yourself to pick yourself back up. I can sell my way out of this. I can think my way out of this. You put it in your mind, and thanks for sharing that, Keith. I'm sure that gives you a person. I mean, anytime our growth is always found in the pain. That's where we learn what we're made of. That's where confidence comes from, surviving a risk, etc. And so I'm glad you fought out of it, and look at what you're doing today. Pretty awesome.
Yep. Anybody can do it. You just got to put your mind to it.
Heck yeah. This was from our previous conversation. Tom Stritch, the biggest cause of burnout in our industry is the lack of fun. Tom, I think that's a huge one.
And in an industry that lends itself to fun.
Right.
Food is
you're
served
right.
Think about every fun experience that you've had. Probably, if you really think about it, food is involved in it somehow, somewhere.
Heck yeah, you're right. You're right. It's food is like a lubricant for connectivity, right? It's if you and I are talking, Keith, if we're at a business meeting, we're at a buying group conference, and we're connecting there, and then we're going to go to dinner together, we're going to share a meal. What happens at the meal is inevitably, I find, almost always deeper and more significant than what we were doing before we got to the meal. Food just sort of brings it out to connect, to grow, to listen, to learn, and to have fun.
Absolutely. 100%. you're at a conference, grab 10 people and go down to the beach and see if the turtles are coming up on shore. The list is endless as to what you can do.
Heck yeah. Who's this, by the way?
I even went to a conference and saw Tom Stritch. He was coming out of the water like a turtle.
Outstanding. I love it. I want to see that. Tom, I want to see you. Someday we'll connect. We'll have fun at some industry event. I can't wait. This is our buddy Kenny. Keith, humbling moments make us stronger, sir. It's motivation to make us better and stronger. Kenny, you're right, buddy. You're right. Top 3 things on your bucket list, Keith. Do you have a bucket list?
Wow, I have an enormous bucket list. And listen, I've led a very rich life. I've been to 71 countries in my life. Those that know me know I'm a speed and thrill seeker. So top of my list, there's number 1, no doubt about it, is flying wingsuit off the 4,000 foot cliffs in Norway. I want to do it. I will do it. Even if it's the last thing I do, it will happen.
Awesome, man. Holy cow. 2 more.
A couple others. I've been riding motorcycles most of my life, so I would love to do a trip around Africa, around 4 months, or from Alaska to the tip of Argentina, do the PCH. And the other one. So when I started having kids, I had 3 philosophies. I wanted to show them the world, give them the best education that I could, and ground them in a sense of morality and integrity. And so my third one kind of goes to the next generation. I would like to be in a position to show my grandkids the world, make them global citizens. This industry is a global industry for sure. I've been lucky enough to spend a reasonable amount of my career doing this business outside the United States. So I've got a really good global perspective on the industry. Food is global. Thank you, Anthony Bourdain, and everything else. In our lifetime, we went from, the Sizzler to, you want Southern Ethiopian food down the street, you can probably find it. And so I want to show my grandkids that level of connectivity around the world. Those would be my 3 big buckets.
Oh, I love it. You just added things to my bucket list. Not the jumping off the cliffs in Norway. That's not getting added. But the other 2, some of the others were outstanding. Those were great.
Well, I'm on lockdown on that right now. So once that gets approved and the life insurance goes up, then I'll be released.
That's great, man. Way to go. Okay, another question from our buddy, the turtle you once saw, Tom Stritch. Every industry right now is struggling to find good help, good people who want to work. What's your experience been in that, and what are some things you're doing to recruit good people?
Great question. This has been an industry topic for a while. We're doing at TundraFMP, we're doing a couple of things. Everybody in our business gets a referral bonus if they bring someone into the company and into the industry. We've had a lot of success bringing chefs or food service workers out of the kitchen because they're burnt out into a part of our business. Whether it's in customer service, in the warehouse, wherever it happens to be. We're also looking for people outside the industry. A couple of years ago, we hired a gentleman. He might even be on the line. He was one of the top recruiters in the Army. He was done being in the Army. Well, if you can recruit someone to come into the Army, guess what? You can sell. And so, he happened to love food and be a foodie. So we brought him into the business as a street sales guy and, left him on the inside for 6 months to learn and then turned him loose. And since then, he's actually, after a couple of years, he left us and he's gone to work for a manufacturer. So, but we look for people who have the personality and the type, and then we invest in them and bring them into the business. And I think we all have to do that. We have to look. I tried to hire a guy a couple of years ago who was fixing an appliance in my kitchen, His personality was outstanding. He loved what he was doing. I said, you want to start working on commercial equipment? I got a job for you, right? And we couldn't make it work, but he came to interview. And so we all have to recruit. Every single one of us has to recruit people to come into this industry and make the investment. And you're going to win, you're going to lose, but all you need is one or two really good hires. Boom, it's done.
Heck yeah, I love it. I feel like oftentimes that's how often people get in. It is through relationship, one way or another. The way we stumble into this fun industry was, for me, it was my dad, and he had a business. I feel like oftentimes it is relationships that bring people in. Almost always, I think.
And chances are, if there's 50 people in this call, 40 of them, their first job ever was in food service somewhere, somehow. But as a leader, we have to constantly be recruiting, constantly, and that's our job. Not only take care of our people and advance our people and create the right culture that they want to excel and they want to stay, and it's fun to be part of, and you share the success and the rewards. But we have to look for people that embrace that culture. Agreed. That was one of the things in Jim Collins' his book Good to Great, which probably most of us have read. But it's not only putting the people in the right seat on the bus, but it's also making sure they're in the right job that's compatible for them. And so looking for people that maybe there's a guy who is in an unskilled labor job somewhere, but he's got a great attitude. Well, give him an unskilled job in your warehouse and show him how good a company you have and that he wants to be part of. It's important.
Heck yeah. Keep bringing them in. Everybody watching, keep bringing friends in, offering the positions. So obviously our industry's looking, and what a better industry to be in Keith talked about it. With the relationships that happen, the fun that can happen in our industry. I think a lot of people, when they get into us, when they fall in one way or another, or relationship, that's why people don't leave. I think those are some of the things. So if you're watching, go ask your friends, anyone who's struggling in their current job, bring them in, find them a gig. We got a couple people who might be hiring, I think. Keith, how do you define success? For anyone younger, they're trying to figure out what success looks like in their world. You've seen a lot of things. You've been a lot of places. You're probably the most traveled person we've had on one of these calls, and you've seen a lot of the world and you've done a lot of cool things. Define success for us.
Success for me, or just success in general?
No, for you. How do you define it?
For me, for me, it's I've had the same personal goal since my very first job, and that was to make a difference. I want to be in a job where I can make a difference in my family's lives and the people that work for me. When nobody worked for me and I was selling, it was making everybody else in the company part of my being able to be part of my success, whatever it happens to be. It's enjoying what you're doing and making a difference. Sometimes the differences are small, sometimes they're huge, but it's being to difference, make conscious effort to make that difference.
I love it.
That's been my goal. That's how I define success.
I think it's a great way, because regardless of what role you're in the industry right now,
yeah.
Go ahead, say it.
No. It's all right. Keep going, because you're on a good track.
No, the cool thing about that, we always look at leaders above us, right? And say that's what success looks like. It's up there. It's greater influence. It's a bigger team. It's more travel. It's more, whatever those things are that you're looking at. The cool thing from your perspective, having done a lot of things, is the way you define success, making a difference, can be done anywhere. And no one has to wait for someday. I feel like so many of us put off, we think we'll fully live, right? And we'll enjoy it when we get to that next thing. And we forget that we can be doing it right now in whatever place we hold, in whatever role in the industry. And every single person watching tonight in our industry can make a difference regardless of where you're at. Is there a
totally agree, Jason?
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing. We can start right now. So if you're watching and you want to find a way to make a difference, here's a couple ideas. We'll come up with a couple right now. One, text a colleague. Just say, hey, I just want you to know you crushed it today. Or two, I'm really grateful that we're colleagues, that you have my back, that you help me with so forth. Someone on your inside team, someone on your outside team. If you're in a restaurant, thank the chef. If you're the chef, thank the server and thank the busboy or thank the, whoever that is, demonstrate gratitude. And you can always say, listen, if you ever need anything, you need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. Whatever those things are, you can make a difference anywhere. If someone's needs to move, maybe you help them move one afternoon. I don't know what those things are. There's a million things, but you can find, if that's how you define success, all of us can be successful every single day of our lives.
And be sincere. Be sincere. Be genuine. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Right? Kindness costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Make a difference in someone's life. Open the door. Whatever it happens to be. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's great if it is, but it doesn't have. And we work in an industry that I think is we work and live in an industry that's conducive to doing nice things.
That's a great way to say that. I hadn't thought about it. Keith, here's the deal. I know we're a little delayed, so I'm sorry if I'm stepping over you at times, but I want you to know that the way you define success as making a difference, that you're living successfully, is what I would tell you. That it's easy to say something. We can come on, we can connect here for our friends and colleagues in the industry, but you're living it. And I think that's important for everyone who's watching and listening to Keith tonight to recognize is these aren't just words. And so, Keith, I want to share a couple of words from people along the way who, in our industry, whose lives you've affected for good. People for whom you've made a difference. You've been a friend. You've affected their career. You've cared for them well, enough that they wanted to share it. So I'm going to read from a couple of industry friends. Kevin Fink shared a couple words. I don't think he's on the boat right now. Maybe he was on the boat when he wrote us, but I don't think. But here's what Kevin said about you and your friendship and your legacy and the way you've made a difference in his life. I've known Keith for more than 20 years, and I had the distinct pleasure of working side by side him for half of that time. Keith is a smart, thoughtful, and passionate leader. Don't let his chill, quiet demeanor fool you. He's always thinking, always creating strategies, and identifying solutions to whatever challenges are in his way. With great class and a wonderful sense of humor, Keith leads from the front, and he inspires his team to be better. Truly one of the best people in the industry, Keith is an exceptional individual, an incredible colleague, and fortunately for me, a very close friend.
Wow. Thanks, GMK. Appreciate that.
David Beeman, our buddy with whom he might be growing out hair and wearing a Broncos jersey soon, or we might be shaving your head, Keith. We'll see how this goes. Keith has a unique way of showing empathy to all associates across the spectrum of our company, while still keeping the conversation and focus on the key elements of our business. Keith has consistently helped me grow in my personal leadership skills through unscheduled coaching sessions. One of my favorite KK coaching sessions happened in Florida at a local dive bar we stopped into for lunch one day. Keith made the conversation 100% about me and my strengths. He helped me walk through the remainder of my career and gave me 2 specific tips on how I could be better at my job today and achieve the next step that I wanted in my career. I think about these 2 tips daily, and I make calls that I don't always want to make just to work on improving in this area. I have never in my career been less afraid to take risks that will have a positive impact on our business, and I thank Keith for this.
Nice. You got a bright future, DB.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, Dave. And lastly, we heard from a buddy of yours, Robin Ashton, who puts out his weekly, monthly Ashton report. Keith and I have been good friends for what seems like decades. It probably is decades because I will never forget him staging on one of the greatest comebacks in golf match play history. I was the victim, of course. We've also skied in Vail and had many other adventures together. Seriously, I've learned more about ice machines and the ice machine business from Keith than almost anyone. He's a world-class food service equipment and supplies exec who knows how to run companies in any situation or channel, as proven by his current role running TundraFMP. I'm sure he's great to work for and with. He's just a great guy, and I thank him for his friendship. I feel honored to be considered a friend of his. Cheers, Robin.
Wow. That was beautiful. And it was an epic comeback. Oof.
I love that you remember that. Look, Keith, I'm really grateful.
It's hard not to.
You've been really good to me over the few years that we've worked together since you took over Tundra, and I was a rep and now a manufacturer. Great professionally, great personally. You joined me and my kids when we did the SIFA event, and you were super fun and engaging for them. And I love that you were willing to do that with us and step out there and do that. And I think I most want to thank you that your words tonight, the things that you shared, you said, be genuine, be authentic. And it's obvious that you are those things. Listening to these people's comments, these friends' comments of you and the ways you've affected their lives, you're doing it. And thanks for leading with integrity and being genuine for all the rest of us looking on, continually learning to grow.
Thanks, Jason. It's been fun. It really has. And it's fun to be in, one of the more elder statesmen now, not quite, but on my way. And it's fun to see young people in the industry who are growing. I remember working for people my age now, and some of them, I learned a ton of what not to do, and I'm trying to be the other way and learn about what to do and be a mentor and give back. And that's a way to give back. And then at the end of the day, for all of us, you got to be yourself, right? Don't compromise on your integrity. You can never do that. And then the young people that I would say, because I remember this, don't give in to your impatience. Be impatient for yourself. Be impatient to drive change. Be impatient to succeed. Be impatient to lead others. Those are traits that will do you well as you grow. Seek opportunities that will help you embrace that impatience. I used to be that guy, and whenever somebody would try to harness that and slow it down, I would change. Right? I would change jobs. I would change careers, and because if that's what's important to you, drive it.
Oh my gosh. I'm just going to tell you that that's going up on my wall. And that was a big thing you just said for me. That just affected me profoundly. Don't, be impatient to create the change that you want to see. Yeah. Don't wait on it. Don't serve anyone who asks you to hold it back or wait on it. Go do it. Oh my gosh, Keith, I love it. This is our friend Deirdre Flynn with NAFM. Deirdre, I miss you. It was so great to see you last week. We'll find another time to connect. And hello, friend. Food service power plant network. There are so many bits of wisdom tonight, whether it's listening to Keith's bucket list and the things that make him come alive, whether it's the ways that he kind of releases stress and gets over discouragement, getting outside, spending time alone, all of those things. Whether it's not letting anyone hold you back from the things that you want to create, build in your own life, in the industry. There are so many people with big dreams, things that we want to do, things that you want to accomplish and build. It was fun. We were at FIDA last week, and there was these young leader committees or groups of all these folks 46 and under. And there were so many amazing people in there with great ideas and incredible energy, connecting and sharing. And be impatient for whatever you want to build, whatever anyone wants this industry to be. And inevitably, everyone wants it to be better. Everyone wants us to be more connected. Everyone wants us to be more authentic and genuine. And we all want to have more fun. So keep doing those things. Take notes. I mean, hopefully you've got notes. I would tell you this, if anything touched you tonight from what Keith said, go take a step in the next 15 minutes to implement it in your life. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. If there was something that moved you, take immediate action. Create some level of immediate change or significance, whether it's writing a quote and putting it up above your desk in your office, whether it's having a conversation with someone, whether it's reaching out and letting someone know you care, or thanking them, or making a difference, right? Making a difference in someone's life. Go take an immediate step, and you'll continue to take little things every day, and you'll watch as these things that Keith offered that have affected his life and his career so profoundly get to do the same thing in yours. And to any of our friends out there right now, Keith shared something really authentic and vulnerable about his story, about a business that he started that didn't work out the way he'd hoped. And that was a really challenging experience. If you're in a place right now where you're going through something that feels low, you may or may not know my story, or the depressed years that I had in my 20s and some challenges there, and getting, losing a job and all this stuff. Know that we all go through it. We all have those moments where we're at the bottom, where we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we don't know what hope looks like. Well, guess what? It ends. And your job and our job together is to keep moving forward. Know that you're not alone. And if you want to reach out to someone, you can reach out to either of us. I mean, pretty much anyone in the food service power plant community is here to care for you, listen to you, whatever that looks like, support you in any way. So keep moving. Don't stop, and believe that whatever you hope for, whatever difference you want to make in the industry, in your community, in your own life, whatever you want to see, it's possible. It's real. Sometimes it's just about learning some of those new habits. Sometimes it's just about continuing to move forward. Sometimes it's connecting with other people who you can share your stuff with, like Keith has with his industry leaders group. Keep moving. Don't give up. You got this.